Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how to install the Hewitt Technologies Generation 1 bypass kit on a 2006 Toyota Tundra 4.7 liter V8. So here I've got all the stuff you really need, right? So the bypass kit is this bypass module with the mass airflow sensor plug and the pigtail plug that the factory mass airflow sensor plugs into. I got a drill for this purple wire where it goes into the starter relay box. Got to drill a hole for that wire, this little tiny purple wire to come through. So this little purple wire, I actually bought some wire loom to go around it to make it, just neater in the engine bay. Got that from a big box store, Home Depot, Lowe's. And then the two block-off valves or plates they go on the underside of the engine on the, towards the back of the engine. And then I've got some zip ties, multimeter to test the starter relay, wire stripper to, once I cut this wire, I have to cut it down a little bit and then strip it again, and then hook that around the starter relay. And that's it. So that's all the stuff you need to get it going. And then you'll need a 10 millimeter socket or wrench for these bypass plates once you get to that part. But I'm gonna do the electrical stuff on top of the engine first and then get to the underneath plates. I took some pictures as best I could. They're hard to get to. They're hard to see from underneath and up above. There's one on the passenger side, there's one on the driver's side, but they're both on the back side of the engine, on the bottom side of the engine. So that's where we are. The kit, it's $190 for the Gen 1 kit from Hewitt Technologies. And what this fix does is for the secondary air injection system, SAIS for short, right? It causes, I'm throwing check engine light and getting a couple different codes. The ones I've gotten are P0418, P1445, and P2445. All those are secondary air injection system related. So I will get going here on the engine. So the mass airflow sensor here on the air filter. This sensor, just undo it here. Just push that little clip down and pull it out. Just undo that. I'm gonna just pull this back a little bit. The sensor that comes from Hewitt, again, plugs into here, and then this piece of the harness plugs into the little pigtail on that new harness. And then I'm gonna mount it to the back side of this airbox here. So let me get started with that. Be right back. All right, so back up here now. I've got the bypass Gen 1 harness from Hewitt. Plug that into the mass airflow sensor. Take the original one, plug it into this little pigtail here. Try to do this one-handed as I film this. Like that. And then I've actually cleaned off the back side of this with some rubbing alcohol, so I'm going to take this two-sided tape that they give you, or that comes on the bypass module here. I'm going to take that off and stick it on the back of here, and then I'll clean this up with some zip ties. So I'm going to do that. I'll be right back. Alright, so back under the hood here, I got the mass airflow piece of the harness connected, pigtail connected to the factory harness. So just some zip ties and wire loom to hold this. Well, actually, this harness came wrapped in wire loom. I bought wire loom for the other wire we're about to do. But this harness, I got it zip tied all the way around, and then it's got a two-sided adhesive tape. Just stuck it to the back side of the airbox here that we cleaned with isopropyl alcohol just to get off any residue. So it's on there. This plug is what the purple wire that comes with the kit will plug into, and then I'm going to route it around the firewall all the way over to the other side of the engine over here, where the starter relay is. And the starter relay is up under here behind the battery in front of the brake system. You got the relay and fuse boxes, and then the relay, relay and fuse box at the back. This is what it looks like here with the cover on. It connects on the back side. It's got two little openings and two little tabs on the back that those hook onto. Anyways, up under here, this purple one is the starter relay. So when you flip this over, you'll see under here all this information. So this diagram shows ST is the starter relay, but it also shows another round relay that has a T on it. That does not apply to this vehicle because the starter relay is the one at the back and there's nothing else behind it. So obviously they used that decal on the relay switches here for multiple vehicles. So if you've got a Sequoia or a different Tundra, maybe from 06, they might have had another relay behind that, but this one does not. So again, this is a 2006 Tundra SR5 double cab. Anyways, so I'm gonna route that wire along the firewall with the wire loom that we bought. I'm gonna drill a little hole in the backside of here to run the wire through, pop the relay off, and wrap it around the relay. I'm gonna test this, but I'm gonna get that started and be right back. All right, so I've got the harness plugged into the module in the back here. There's a fitting that comes, with the purple wire in the harness that you get from Hewitt. And then I've just got the wire loom over it. I've got some excess here that I'll cable tie up, and I've got it just kind of loosely routed through the back by the firewall all the way over to the starter relay box. Drilled a 5/64 hole in the back here, right at the back corner. You can see it right behind the starter relay. And that's where the wire, I'll fish the purple wire through on the end that's, that's not in the wire loom. So I'll pull this through and then, cut this wire a little bit shorter. But I'll pull that through here. And then I'll hook it around the starter relay and test that and just make sure that electrical connection is good to go. So here, just fishing it through. Trying to do it one-handed without kind of looking. And again, just got it loosely. I'll zip tie all this up so it looks a lot neater here in a little bit. But again, pull this through here. I'm gonna test this with the multimeter and then go from there. Be right back. All right, so I've got the red lead from the multimeter hooked up to the lead that plugs into the mass airflow sensor bypass harness. On the far side, I've got it just pulled back over to the driver's side just to make it easier. So I've got the red lead plugged into the plug that goes into the harness, or the bypass module. I've got the black lead into the negative post on the battery. And I've got the multimeter. I'm gonna turn it to volts DC. And we'll put it on 20 here, because we should get a reading when I go to start up the truck. Should get a reading between 5 and 12, and then as soon as I start it up, it should go back down to less than 1. So let's take a look at that here while I go start that up. So I'm gonna stop this, take a look at what it was, because I wasn't over here to see it, and then I think we'll be all right to hook it up. All right, so we just finished up all the electrical stuff under the hood. Now we got to go up underneath and do the exhaust block off, the 2 little block off plates that they send you with the kit. So again, just to recap, under the hood here, the harness with the module on it hooks into the mass airflow sensor. The pigtail hooks into the factory harness. The module we mounted it to the back of the airbox here. Ran the purple wire inside some wire loom all the way around the firewall, all the way across, over to the driver's side, all the way around, and then into the back of this relay and fuse box into the starter module, the purple one at the back corner. It sits right back here behind the cover. So all that is done. We tested it, the volts DC should have been anywhere between 5 and 12. I think it ran up to 7 and 10. And then back down below 1. I think it ended up at 0.7, so well within the parameters there. So we're finished up under the hood here, so I'll close this up and get up underneath. Actually, I think I'm gonna have to do the driver's side block-off valve from up above at the back of the engine over here. I think that's the only way I'm gonna be able to get to it is from up top. From down below, I couldn't really see a good spot to get to it. Down below on the passenger side, though, on the back side, I'll get to the passenger side block-off valve from underneath. I believe that's a 10 millimeter socket or wrench that I'll have to use for those, just to loosen those up and slide those little blocker plates up in from underneath. But I'm not sure if I'll be able to capture video of that, but I will try to. Either way, I'll take some pictures of where those spots are. Worst case, just show you where they are, and again, may not have video because I might not be able to get the camera up in there or down in there, depending on which side I'm working on. But that's the top side stuff here. We'll be back in a minute. All right, so under the passenger side of the engine, these are the two 10 millimeters you got to take off, or not take off, but loosen. I'm trying to get the lighting where I can point to it here. So this one here and this one here, just both of those, you got to loosen those, and then slide in the blocker plate up underneath. Leave the gasket on the engine side, and then put the blocker plate on the more rear of the vehicle, so the gasket stays on the front side by the engine. Well, it's the back of the engine, but it's the more towards the front of the car. The gasket stays, and the block-off plate goes behind that. So I'm looking up from down below the passenger side, so the blocker plate goes closer to where I am. That makes sense. But again, just loosen those two 10 millimeters, slide the blocker plate in between there. The gasket stays on the engine side, the blocker plate goes behind it, and then tighten those two 10 millimeters down. So that's where I'm at now. I will tighten these back up and move over to the driver's side. All right, so all finished up. Couldn't get any video of the driver's side. I had to do it from up above, and it takes two hands, headlight mounted on my head so I can see what I'm doing, and a flashlight kind of mounted under the hood, pointing down to where I could see. So I couldn't film any of the driver's side. The passenger side I got a little bit from underneath. But yeah, all wrapped up. I'm going to start it up, clear any codes. I can't remember if I cleared the codes before I started or not, but I had a P0418 code that had popped on just earlier today. So if that's still there, I'll clear that out. Should be good to go. All in all, it took about an hour and a half. I took my time. First time I've ever done this. First time I've ever been under the engine, playing with stuff there. So just definitely took my time, and it was hard to reach the two block-off plates. So just take your time. It's not a difficult job. It's just hard to get to those bottom two backing plate or block-off plates. So the top engine side electrical stuff is easy. Takes 15 minutes maybe max, including wire, tying the wires together and doing all that with zip ties. But the harder time was getting underneath and figuring out where I could get to and what I could reach and all that, and setting up the film. So anyways, hope this helped. Again, the secondary air injection system bypass from Hewitt Technologies, the Generation 1 bypass module on a 2006 Toyota Tundra 4.7 liter V8. I hope it was helpful. Give me a like, ask questions in the comments, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks. Have a good day.